It's time now for the award-winning #1 local talk show in Northeast Pennsylvania, The Sam Lesante Show. Now here's your host, Sam Lesante.
Thank you, my friends, for joining us on The Sam Lesante Show. Folks, you can watch all of our programs on ssptv.com, or you can go to our app, which is search SSPTV. Folks, my guest today is Congressman Lou Barletta from the 11th Congressional District. He is running for U.S. Senate in the state of Pennsylvania. I want to make a personal note before I interview Congressman Barletta, and I hope that you would listen to what I have to say. For those of you watching us for the very first time, we've been doing this show since 1994. When Lou Barletta became mayor in 2000, he's been on this show many, many times. So we're looking at 17 years and a number of times. Every time he's been on the show, and these are archives, you can go to them, we talked about specific facts. And every time Mr. Barletta was on target with them, never diversed, never played any games, told the public exactly the way it was, whether it was good or bad. For many, many years, I've been talking about substance, people who have substance. Folks, you see where we're going today in the country. It's not good. So now, as Congressman Barletta looks to become U.S. Senator, we'll ask him why he wants to become U.S. Senator. I want you to keep that in mind, that we're talking about people who are talking facts and not, going back and forth. Congressman, thanks for coming on the show.
Thanks, Sam. Thanks for having me.
First of all, it's amazing that it's been 17 years, 18 years, I look back and say, I remember I had a lot more hair, you had your hair was a little darker. But I meant what I said. I think every time you came on, whether it was city issues and the problems you had as a mayor, and then when you come on Congressman, etc., every time we've discussed things, you've been there and you never vacillated from what the fact is, okay? This is going to be a very interesting year. I think the public is like fed up here with all of what's going on in the country, okay? You have the Democrats reporting at Republicans, Republicans reporting at Democrats. The average person is trying to survive, and they don't know where to go. So you have lies, you have deceit, etc., which is sad because Congress, once again, does not have the ratings that it should have. Why do you think that is, Lou?
Well, I think what happens, Sam, in my short time in Washington is many times people just want to get reelected. And they worry more about getting reelected than standing up for the people that they represent, and therefore they say what they know people want to hear, but never really act on it. And I believe the American public has had enough of that, of Washington talking about what they're going to do, talking about the problems, but never doing anything about fixing them. I believe that's a big part of how Donald Trump became president. He said exactly what people were thinking and didn't worry about being politically correct, and talked about draining the swamp in Washington. And that connected with the American people because they are fed up with Washington not getting anything done.
When you talk about accountability, okay, it's funny, Lou, when you need a doctor, or if you need anything in a good lawyer, people want to check their background. How good are they? How are they accountable? Before anyone's going to do major surgery, what's this doctor reputation? You do all your homework. But with a politician, it just seems that if you're a good girl, good guy, nice personality, laughs, tells jokes, what a nice guy, big family, all that stuff, they vote for them without looking at who they're voting for. How do you address the average person? Okay, you come from a big family. Okay, and your family did miraculous things in northeastern Pennsylvania. How do you talk to the average person? You're running for U.S. Senator. What do you tell that average person about Lou Barletta, and your accountability?
Well, first of all, I tell them about how much I care about my family, how much I love where I come from. I would love nothing better, Sam, than to be home with my daughters, my wife, my grandchildren, spend time here. I didn't go to Washington for a career. I went there to get things done. I'm worried about the future of our country. I'm worried about where our grandchildren, the country that it would live in. And I believe in term limits. After being there, I think politicians have gone, are there too long. They lose touch with the American people. They therefore just keep worrying about getting reelected. And that's what motivates me. Is I'm not afraid, even if I have to go up against my own party. It doesn't matter to me. I go there and do what I think is right.
Let's talk about that. When I talk about substance, I always say, look at the substance of the person. When you went to Congress, all right, as a Republican, you didn't go along with the party. I mean, you were there saying, didn't you get sucked in?
No, I don't drink the Kool-Aid there, and I make sure I'm the first person out at the end of the week. I know where I came from, I know where I come from, and I know who sent me. And that's the most important thing for me. I'm not, the power of Washington, some people become intoxicated by it. I see it as a detriment. I wish we were back home more often, back in the district, back among the people. And I think term limits is a big deal because people will eventually realize we're only there for so long, and they won't be afraid to take the votes. I mean, there's so many issues. Back when I was mayor, 2006, I realized the problem of illegal immigration and how it affected small towns like Hazleton. But when I stood up, Sammy, I found out that it wasn't only Hazleton. It was cities all around the country. And I couldn't understand, why didn't politicians in Washington do anything about this? Why didn't they secure our borders so that this problem would go away? They talk about it, and here we are in 2018, and guess what they're doing? They're still talking about it, and it's sad, and that feeds into the people's frustrations.
Now, during that time, you saw as mayor, and you were on this show a number of times, and you saw a terrible murder in this town, illegal people coming in, and I still have a problem when we say the word illegal. I don't know where it becomes legal down the road. I mean, when you say illegal, you're doing something illegal, it's illegal, but all of a sudden you have certain parties that think illegal is not illegal, okay? So you saw that for yourself, okay? So here's the point. You're running for U.S. Senate against Bobby Casey, and you have a liberal press. I mean, there's a liberal press that, look what they did with Trump. Was it 90-some percent, 92% negative against him? But the American public said, look, we know where you're going. But here's the point. They're going to call you a racist. They're going to say Lou Barletta is a racist, and they're going to bring up everything that you cannot believe. You're used to that. How do you react to that?
Well, I've been through that, during my time as mayor, standing up when no other politician in the country would have. But I stood up for the people that I represented here, and I was called every name in the book. I mean, I've had, I've been called every name you could imagine. And this is a way that the media, this is a tool that they use to try to shut you down. Most politicians will back off. Nobody wants to be called a racist. But I stood strong, Sam, because anyone who knows me and the people here best, understand that I was actually standing up for immigrants. I was pro-immigrant in saying that this is a country of immigrants, and we are doing the wrong thing to them as well as to the American citizens. And most people get it, although the media will, and I'm well expecting it and ready for those same claims that they make. But I'm not gonna back down now, Sammy. I've stood the ground, and people here understand that what I'm saying is best for immigrants. It's best for the American people. And there was no gray area for me. Illegal is illegal. I mean, I don't know what I was saying that was wrong. I'm not saying we shouldn't welcome people in the country. Quite the opposite. I'm saying we should welcome people into the country through the legal process so that we know who's coming here, we know who's here, we know that they will be a benefit to the United States. And it's not fair to anyone else for people just to come in the dark of the night and jump ahead of everyone and take American jobs. And I saw as a mayor the effect it has on cities. So I go to Washington with a little different view than most politicians. I had to experience it. I had to deal with it as a mayor. And it's frustrating for me to see all the people in Washington saying the right things, but still not having the courage to do something about it.
It's interesting because in your own family, if you were such a racist, I mean, it's interesting. You have a person who's Hispanic, a person who's half African American. So you sort of have a intermingling of.
I really laugh. It's funny to me because people that make the claims that I'm a racist, they have no idea about who I am and what I am and my background and what my family is and how proud I am of all of them. And so that it's not going to stop me from saying what I believe is true.
Well, I suspect that this year you're going to be. There'll be a lot of things coming out because they're very nervous about the state of Pennsylvania. And with all due respect to Senator Casey, the point is that what you're bringing to the table. Now, there is, as you mentioned, when you go to Congressman, I call some people hypocritical, okay, where you said they want election. And unfortunately, Lou, people will say, well, he comes from district and there's 80% Republican, 20% Democrat, so he could win. Or there's 60% Democrat. And I don't think that's the way I would look at things. In the state of Pennsylvania, I don't care whether you're a Democrat, Republican, vote for the person that's going to affect your life. The average person who is out there working, struggling, okay, and listening to all the nonsense. It's been proven over and over again that the liberal media, okay, people are turned off to it. I don't know how much they need to know from the general public, Lou, saying just present the truth. Just tell us the both sides instead of only one side, okay? I mean, they're blatant about it, okay? And that must be very upsetting.
Well, it is, Sam, especially when you're trying to get the facts out to the people so that the public could make an informed decision on whether or not they believe this is good or not. I mean, I come home from Washington and my wife will say, what she saw on TV is nothing even close to what we're doing. So it's very frustrating to know the truth and have to talk and debate other politicians, other elected officials, when they're not telling the truth.
Well, in debating, there's always these decoys. I mean, Schumer knows what he's doing, okay? I mean, I think it's backfiring, but that's only my personal opinion. They know what to do, and they have their, you could see that when you're talking to a strategist on the talk shows, they have what to say, and it's this spin, et cetera. Some people who are smart enough for an interview will just go right to thing, but you don't have that many people. We talk about Bobby Casey, okay, who is the senator here in the state of Pennsylvania. According to what news releases, his record is dismal, okay, when it comes to doing certain things. So let's talk about the tax cuts, okay. What happened with the tax cuts? And he voted against them. Am I correct?
That's correct.
So Senator Bobby Casey voted against the tax cuts. For what reason? And what has happened since then? Because I'm looking for that average person, that senior citizen, the person struggling out there, the hardworking people that, are just getting hammered all the time. Why would he say, I mean, maybe he has his reasons, but why would Senator Bobby Casey say, no, I'm against the tax cuts?
I don't know. I wouldn't want to be in that position to have to explain why you wouldn't want to give people back more of their money and how you could make the argument that it is better for you to send more money to Washington and let Washington spend it. I wouldn't want to be in that position. I'm glad I wasn't. I'm glad I didn't vote against it. And I think this is going to be one of the American people are going to see an amazing change in what these tax cuts are going to do, not only for their jobs, but for their future. And we didn't even expect, Sam, we knew we were going to give the average family of that earned $50,000, family of four, they're going to get over a $1,400 up to $2,000 return, tax cut, a savings on what they're going to save from the tax cuts. By raising the standard deduction from $12,000, meaning your first $12,000 that you earn, which was the old code, gets taxed at 0%, we doubled that. So the first $24,000 that you earn is zero taxes. Most people will take that standard deduction. So 90% of people in Pennsylvania will see an incredible benefit. But what we didn't expect to happen was that by cutting the business taxes, we thought that they would make investment and it would increase people's wages, which people will see that as well. But they began giving bonuses. Immediate, raising the minimum wage. You know, there's this argument the Democrats want to make, let's raise the minimum wage. No, just let businesses do what they can do here, and they will raise wages on their own, and they are. We're watching businesses all over the country. There's now over it was 2.6 million. It's with the latest companies that have just given bonuses and raises, it's probably over 2.8 million people have seen either a bonus or a raise in their pay. And in February, starting February, people are going to see a little bit more money in their paycheck, and the reason is there are going to be less taxes taken out. Why would you vote against that? Why would you vote against letting companies come back to the United States and create jobs that will raise your wages? Why? It's beyond me.
The interesting thing is, from what the information I have, that that Verizon, Starbucks, J.P. Morgan, Disney gave employees raises and bonuses. There's 160 companies and growing that have given raises and bonuses to, like you said, 2.6, 2.8 million people. Apple announced $2,500 stock bonuses. The stock market is going through the roof. In this area alone, in Dunmore, Pennsylvania, there was, I think, a bank that gave raises. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. So this is in Bobby Casey's back door. So what he's saying to them, no, I voted against those raises, okay? I don't understand, you know, here again, I know the Democrats have what they're doing, but sometimes you have to look at reality. But here's the point you get. Well, the rich are benefiting. Those millionaires are benefiting, okay? There always has to be, I know, you know, debate, there's two sides. So are the wealthy really benefiting by this?
No, we're letting companies who have left the United States, who are trying to compete, and that's when a business closes down, Sam, and goes somewhere else, we lose jobs. And you know, so the Democrat playbook is always, well, that's only for the wealthy. But you can see how they've lost total touch with people. Nancy Pelosi said the $1,000 bonus that people were getting are crumbs. Well, maybe they're crumbs to her, who's a multimillionaire and who flies first class wherever she goes. But let me tell you, the people I know here in Pennsylvania, $1,000 is a lot of money. Yeah. It's paying off a bill that you couldn't pay before. Yep. It's maybe a down payment on something else that you needed. Maybe it's something towards your education. To look down your nose at $1,000 just tells you how out of touch the Democrats are. And for those that voted against it, they believe just like she does. They believe that you don't deserve your money back, that give it to us, we're smarter in Washington. This is the same party that drove this country, you know, off the edge of the road over 8 years of Obama and Obamacare and the policies that have hurt businesses. And just look at what has happened in the last year. Look at your stock market, look at your 401k.
Yeah, that's interesting. The interesting thing is, and again, I'm hoping that I'm saying the correct thing based on the facts I'm looking at, is that there are more women working in the country than ever before. There are more African Americans working than, I think, 17 or 20 years are working, okay? So once again, why would all the success that's happening, okay, why would you want to vote against these things that are so productive in helping that person that $1,000 is a lot of money?
Well, I'm sorry to say there, you know, there are people in Washington that want you to be dependent on the government.
For the votes.
And it's votes, because then they control you. If they could control your health care, they can control what money you get, what programs. They want you to be on a government program because then you need them. Versus the opposite. We want people to earn more money, to have a better job, to have a better opportunity, to start a business, you know, all the things that we believe in. So there's a clear choice in this election. And this Senate race in Pennsylvania is probably going to be one of the most watched elections in America, because you know, this could make the difference on whether we go back to Obama's policies, as Senator Casey would like to do, or someone like myself who believe we're on the right track.
Folks, I'm talking to Congressman Lou Barletta, 11th Congressional District. Since 2000, he's been on the show many, many times. Our website is ssspptv.com. You could go and do a look at archives. You could see what he said, and what his substance is. Many times we've asked, Senator Casey's office if they want to come on the show. But I like to deal with facts, folks. You, the average person, are being sold a bill of goods by the liberal media. And it's sad. It is very sad. And as you're seeing, there are going to be more explosive things happening in this country that's going to really shock you. And so when they say they want to clean the swamp off, that swamp, I guess that's a fact. We'll be back right after this. Thanks for staying with us, folks. I'm Sam Lesante. You're watching The Sam Lesante Show. SSPTV.com is where you can see all of our shows. Our app is SSPTV. My guest today is Congressman Lou Barletta from the 11th Congressional District in the state of Pennsylvania and is running for U.S. Senate. Let's talk about the government shutdown, okay? Bobby Casey voted to shut down the government and denying funding for our veterans, military, seniors, and kids because he did not get what he wanted for DACA. What was the story there?
So DACA is Deferred Action for Children. These are minors who were brought to the United States by their parents illegally. They're here. There's over 800,000 DACA recipients here in the United States right now. So, there's a discussion about what do you do with the 800,000, and they came here no fault of their own. Sure. and you want to have compassion, and, yes, and we want to deal with them compassionately because they were brought here. So the debate is, how do you handle the DACA recipients? And we believe, along with the president, that we can treat the 800,000 with compassion and make sure that that you can't send people back. Some of them are 30-some years old now. They're not children. Sure, yeah. Today. But you can't send them back to a country that they don't even know.
Exactly.
And so let's do the right thing there. But in return for that, let's make sure this doesn't ever happen again. I mean, if you just legalize or just give amnesty to 800,000 and you don't do anything else, well, there's going to be another 800,000. What's to stop more people from coming here and you have the same situation again?
That are illegal.
That are here illegally.
Right, okay.
And Sammy, if you had a hole in your roof, you wouldn't replace the carpet before you fix the hole. Mm-hmm. Right? I mean, it's just common sense. So what we're saying is, let's secure the border. Let's build the wall, secure the border, make sure this doesn't ever happen again. Mm-hmm. Do it once. But at the same time, let's look at our immigration system here. What is happening here? Why are so many people coming here illegally or legally and end up on government programs costing the taxpayers even more money? Our immigration policies are supposed to strengthen America. So what we're saying is, let's end chain migration. Now, what is chain migration? That is, if you come to the United States as an immigrant and we'll allow you to come here legally and we give you a green card, you then can bring your children and your parents and your cousins and your aunts and your uncles and their cousins and their cousins and their cousins and their cousins. It's called chain migration, where we have no control over who. You bring one person in, and before you know it, through chain migration, they bring 7, 8, 9 people in, and now people are coming here. We have no control. They ended up on government programs. This is not good for America. What we're saying is, let's end that. Let's make it merit-based. Let's say that the people that we allow to come into the country legally, that they have a skill that we need so that they can get a job. They don't go on a government program. They could be productive taxpayers. Let's use our immigration policy to strengthen our country, not weaken it, not cost taxpayers more money. This makes a lot of sense. Let's end the visa diversity lottery. So what that means is, you just get your name picked out and then you could come to the United States. That doesn't make sense as well. That's how we want to handle it. Bob Casey, Senator Casey, and the Democrats somehow wanted us to legalize the DACA recipients, or they would not vote to fund the government. We had a deadline of funding the government. So they really held us hostage, where they were putting illegal immigrants over the American people, saying that if we didn't legalize the 800,000 people who were in the country illegally, they were going to vote to shut down the government. When you begin to put illegal immigrants over the American people, shutting down the government, you know what that means? That means our military weren't going to get paid. I mean, we could go on and on and on how people were going to get hurt. You remember when Obama wouldn't let, when the government shut down the last time, he wouldn't let the veterans go to the World War II memorial. He shut down the park. I mean, to be willing to shut the government down because you won't legalize 800,000 people without agreeing that we should secure the border. I mean, this for me is just hard to imagine.
I don't understand. Maybe there's, like for example, in the state of Pennsylvania, there's 4,900 residents, recipients on DACA. There's 342,000 kids who benefit from CHIP.
That's the Children's Health Insurance Program.
Yeah. So in other words, what you're saying is, I don't care. I don't want to put. I would think, well, what about those 340-some thousand people, kids that need it, versus the 4,900 that you're trying to help? I mean, am I correct in saying that?
You're exactly right, and they did. They voted to shut down, and it hurt 342,000 children who were relying on the CHIP health insurance program to stand up for 4,900 illegal immigrants who are in the country. When you begin to put 4,900 people who are in the country illegally over 342,000 children, there's something wrong.
Very quickly, senior citizens, people who are retired, people who worked all their lives, people who made this country. We should look to them to solve the problems. I say that a million times. And putting the Democrats, Republicans aside, you know, how do we help them, Lou?
Well, the best thing we could do to help senior citizens is make sure that Social Security continues to benefit them, that Medicare is strong, and Medicaid, that we help people who can't afford, you know, look at the heating costs, you know, giving them assistance for heating. I always support LIHEAP, which is a heating assistance for the elderly, and I go against our party on things like that. We've got to make sure they get a cost of living increase, that we take care of our veterans and our senior citizens here in the United States before we start taking care of illegal immigrants. When you put illegal immigrants over our seniors and our veterans and our children, this election there's a clear choice in the direction that you would like to see our country go in.
One other statement, Catholic vote, 500,000 people, Catholics, endorsed Congressman Barletta only because of the record of Bob Casey, Senator Casey. So I could say I'm pro-life, but if I don't act like I'm pro-life, there's a difference, and they explain fully why they did not endorse Senator Casey, even though he is saying he's pro-life. Congressman Lou Barletta, thanks for coming on the Sam
Thanks,
Lesante Show.
Always good to be here.
Congressman Barletta is running for U.S. Senate. Folks, I said before, look at substance. Please do not vote for a person to guess they're nice guys, nice women, etc. Just look at the mess we're in this country. I'm not endorsing anyone. I'm saying look at the record. Since 2000, this man has been on this show many, many times. They're archived. Check him out, see what substance he is, and then see what Senator Casey's substance is. Then you make a decision. See you next time.